Hi everyone! So for today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the Jane harness. Now the Jane harness is actually the simplest of my cage bras that I'll be offering for the DIY kits. You can actually buy all of the Ripa Iso DIY kits on my website at agachishop.com. I'll link it below. There's actually an entire section online dedicated just to all the Ripa Iso DIY kits and also for all the supplies that I'll be adding soon as well. Like the elastic straps, or the elastic trim, the rings, the sliders, the closures, and pretty much everything you'll need. I also have some of my favorite silk pins available still, so definitely look into those. Get all the sets that you need ready. So I'll have the videos that are coordinating with each kit coming up in my channel. So for today's style, the Jane, like I said, it's very simple harness style. It has three main parts to it. There's the choker strap, the vertical torso strap, and then the underbust strap. Now because this style is adjustable, you can actually wear this either at your underbust or your natural waistline. So I usually see people wearing this in different ways. It's kind of like popping on a necklace on and off, so you can definitely change over your entire outfit. I call it like the day to night transition. So anyways, as you can see, very simple style, flatters any kind of bust size. So it's very easy to wear. Really easy little clasp closures at the back of the choker and the underbust straps. So as you can see, really simple. All these straps are connected by two O-rings, and each strap on this entire harness is adjustable. So you can make it fitted. So all you have to do is kind of alter the measurements based on what your size actually is. So for this tutorial though, I'm going to show you how to make the fully adjustable version. Now everything that comes in the kit you're going to find either in a black velvet pouch like this, or a bag that's made from our upcycled fabric scraps. We have a bunch of these. We're probably going to just kind of randomly pick them for every person unless you have like a specific bag that you want. So, you know, either way you're going to get a cute bag. You can use it for travel, storage, for many different reasons. So it's a cute little freebie with your kit. Within the kit, when you get them, you're going to see all the elastic trim pre-cut for you based on the size range that you picked. I'm going to have the different lengths either coming up on the screen here or below in the description box, and then you'll know that way that's the size that you'll have. So when you do open up your kit, I want you to kind of lay out all the elastic pieces and measure everything out just so you get in the habit of knowing exactly what lengths you have. So you're going to have two. Like for this set, I'm actually working on the extra small to medium size range. So you're going to have the two choker pieces, the one vertical strap, and then two of the underbust straps. You're going to get the 5 sliders that go for each strap. Now these, make sure that your sliders are always the same size as the width of your satin elastic. So these are 5/8 sliders for the 5/8 inch wide satin elastic straps. And then as I mentioned before, you're going to get 2 of the plastic snap closures. These are really easy to use. They just snap open. Oh god, this one's stuck of course. As you can see, they just snap together. Really simple. Pretty sturdy too. So 2 of those snap closures and then 2 of the 3/4 inch O-rings. This will connect the choker straps and the underbust straps to the torso strap. Okay. So next up is after you've measured everything out and you kind of laid out all the pieces to make sure you have everything ready to go, you can take the bra sliders and attach them to either end of the satin elastic that you have. Just pick one side, it doesn't really matter. As long as you make sure that the satin side is up and facing you when you're sliding it actually into the slider. So really simple. Let me pop on my pincushion ring. By the way, this is from Clover. I highly recommend buying one because they come in handy, as you can see. And they're super cute too. So I'll even link that below. I actually got mine on Amazon, but I believe they're available on Amazon and eBay. So definitely look into that. Invest in one, they're super cute. So I'm going to start with the choker straps. Take one of your sliders and take one of your choker elastic straps. Pop in satin side up, meaning it's better be the pretty side facing you. Pop it right into the right side of the slider, like that. and then loop it into the other side of the slider. So it should look like that. So this is where you need your sewing gauge handy. You want about a 1-inch seam allowance from the edge of the slider to the edge of your elastic strap. I like to do 1 inch because when you fold it under, I know a lot of people, whether you're an indie designer or a commercial brand, a lot of people kind of just sew this right here and leave like a raw edge. I prefer to tuck them under. I just think it's gonna help it last longer because it's gonna be rubbing up on your skin pretty often. And I'd rather have it from fraying too much, like after a couple wears, you're gonna see it kind of starting to like wear down. So I highly recommend doing the 1-inch seam allowance on the edges of all the elastic straps. And then that way when you fold it under, I like to make sure that the edge is actually sitting right under the slider, right there, as you can see. So it's almost like about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can kind of measure it. It's about a 1/2 inch. Fold it under. So it should look like that. So it's nicely tucked under. It just looks more clean and professional. It's gonna last longer too as well without fraying too bad. Take one of your silk pins and you're gonna secure that fold. And it should look like that. So when you're pinning it, I like to keep it nice and flat where it's not sticking out like that or sticking out like that, because when you're putting it under the presser foot, when you're about to sew, you wanna make sure that this is all just kind of secured and ready, because you're gonna take this pin out before you sew on a nice straight stitch along the edge of the slider. I'm gonna show you how to line it up on the foot after we pin everything up. So go ahead and repeat this step with all the other elastic straps. Again, satin side up. Go through the right side of the slider, loop it through the left. Use your sewing gauge, measure out 1 inch from the edge of the slider, and then fold it under, and then tuck that edge underneath, right under the edge of that slider, and then pin like that. And again, you just want the edge of the pin to actually just kind of poke out a little bit. You don't really need it to be like far out, like I said before, because all you're doing is just kind of keeping this ready and nice and flat and ready to go when you're ready to sew all these things together. So now I'm going to go on to the vertical strap. Just repeating the same thing. Make sure it's about 1 inch seam allowance. Okay. Fold under and pin. I really like using this satin elastic. I just feel like it looks so much better. It looks more professional. And I'll have different widths available on my site to kind of like buy like bulk amounts, kind of like 5 yards at a time. And then that way you guys can kind of create your own styles. You know, I'm just showing you kind of like the foundation of how to make things. And then that way you can just make it your own. So, okay. Again, go ahead and tuck into the slider and the 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, all right, last one. Again, pop it through the slider. And again, you can leave it with the raw edge, totally up to you. I just recommend folding it under for a nice neater seam. Here's Mo crashing mommy's tutorial, which is totally fun. Okay, so once you have everything pinned up, make sure everything's nice and neat, ready to go. Then we'll start sewing these together. All right, so got that sewing machine threaded. Make sure that you're following your guide, whatever your manual says. Most machines are pretty similar. Every machine's slightly different, but it's the same components, same steps overall. So make sure your tensions are ready to go. I'm going to show you once we get to the machine to kind of adjust the settings for the tension. So again, make sure you have your satin foot ready or your Teflon foot. You can use a universal foot when you're sewing these. I just feel like the satin foot's gonna make it a much smoother sewing process as well as a Teflon foot. So get those machines ready, pause the video if you need to, and I will see you guys at the sewing machine. All right. All right, so I'm going to suggest before we sew the Jane harness that we change our tension. I usually keep my tension at 4. I'm gonna recommend up to a 5 for this project. And also make your stitch length a 2.5 millimeter. I usually go between 2.5 and 3 for most of my projects, but for this, let's change it to 2.5. And I like to put my needle position in a left position. This is the center, this is the left, just so you can see a difference. My satin foot is ready to go. Make sure that your presser foot is okay with lifting and lowering. All right, so you can start in any order you want for these straps to sew on the sliders. I'm just gonna start with one of the choker pieces. So everything's nicely pinned, nice and flat. If you did it correctly, if not, go back and redo them. So now let's raise the presser foot. Go ahead and slide your first piece under. I like to kind of center the strap so it's kind of like in the middle under the presser foot. Once you've lowered your presser foot to the centered position on the strap, go ahead and remove your pin and lower your presser foot. I like to make sure that my threads when I start are kind of in the back, not top, but just nice and flat behind you. Okay. So now that you have all your settings correct, needle is lowered, let's go ahead and sew. Simple straight stitch, do 2 rounds back and forth. Lift your needle, lift your presser foot. It should look like that. Nice and neat on both the top and bottom. Okay, so because I am used to kind of sewing in bulk, I'm gonna recommend just keeping that piece kind of dangling on the extra thread piece that you have. I like to leave at least a tail of like 4, 5, 6 inches, somewhere around that, just enough so that when you're sewing, it's not gonna weigh down your next project, like the next item that you're sewing. So kind of leave that dangling a little past your foot. Go ahead and add the next piece, same thing, center it under the presser foot, remove that pin, lower your needle, make sure that your threads are kind of nice and flat behind you. Go ahead and sew 2 rounds of straight stitches. So just go back and forth from the one side to the other. Nice even stitches, front and back. Again, a few inches for a tail. Add your next piece of elastic. Center that beneath. Remove that pin, lower your needle, make sure your threads are kind of nice and flat. And go ahead and sew 2 rounds of straight stitching. See, that's what happens. Kind of when you lower your foot sometimes, it can kind of pull the thread. That's why I like having a little bit of space between what you just sewed and what you're about to sew. Okay. All right, last strap. All right, so now that you're done, go ahead and cut all the excess thread off. Make sure that you're cutting carefully, that you're not actually cutting into the elastic and you're just cutting the excess thread tails. Make it look nice and neat. I love these mini scissors from Fiskars. I included them in my sewing essentials video. Okay, so now everything is nice and neat, and you cut off all the excess tail, so they should all look like this. Nice, clean seams. Okay, so now you're gonna reorganize your two choker straps, your vertical strap, and your two underbust straps. Now, with your two underbust straps, grab either one of them, and I'm going to show you how to sew on the woven labels. So I'm going to include one of my woven labels for you to sew on to these harnesses and cage bras. Now, with the slider on the left side and the underside of the elastic showing towards you, meaning you're not sewing the label on the actual pretty side, the plush side, I like to kind of place the label on one of the underbust straps with, again, the slider on your left side, or just like the opposite side of what you're working on, facing away from you, like that. About an inch from the underside of the end seam that's attached to the slider, I like to sew the label on around that point on the strap. So this is actually going to be hidden once you put everything together, and that's fine because I kind of like when the label's a little tucked away because you'll know it's there. Again, do 2 little rounds of lock stitches on both sides of the label, like so. And that's how you make it look very professional. Okay, so like that. And then just trim off again the excess thread. Okay, so now it looks official. As you can see, the label looks really pretty. Okay. So you can either start from the top to the bottom or bottom top, it's up to you. I like to start with the choker straps to start assembling the actual harness together. Okay. So take the 2 harness strap pieces that you have here. Take one of your 3/4 inch rings. You're going to start to loop them together. So you're going to take one of the choker straps with, again, the soft underside facing you, loop it through the ring. Make sure the strap's nice and straight, no twisting. You're going to loop it through the side that didn't have the plush side sewn onto it earlier. See how it's like that? Loop it through the slider, like so. And then pop it through the other side of the slider. And that's how you loop it through the rings. I'm going to show you that again on the other side. Take the other choker strap, loop it through the ring. Again, make sure there's no twisting. It's nice and flat. Loop it through the one slider side and then through the other. So, if you did it correctly, it should look like this. Okay, both sides are on the ring. So now with these 2 ends of the choker strap, you're going to take one of your plastic snap closures, like this. And again with the plush side, the satin side out and the plush side under. Again, you want to do about an inch seam allowance again, kind of like when you're putting the sliders on, or sewing the strap to the sliders. Tuck them under about a 1/2 inch. Grab a pin. And go ahead and kind of set that nice and flat. do the same thing to the other side. Make sure there's no twisting, that everything's nice and flat. Same thing, fold under, and secure that with a pin. And that's how you put together the choker strap. And so you can actually just wear this by itself as an actual choker, but obviously you can add the rest of the harness to finish off the Jane harness. So that's how it should look. Okay. So then next you're going to be attaching the vertical strap. So that's the vertical strap here. Take the other ring and loop it through. And again, make sure there's no twisting, everything's nice and flat. You always want the satin side on the outside. Loop it through the slider again. Like so. It should look like this. So it looks like one half of the choker strap you just worked on. Like that. Now take the one end of the vertical strap that's not on the ring. Take your choker strap and attach it to that ring like this. So that way you have a nice like Y shape connection. Same thing, kind of like a 1-inch seam allowance. Fold that under, secure it with a pin, like that. So it should look like that when you pinned it all up together. And now here is the part that I think can be a little tricky for some people. So add the base of your vertical strap with that ring. Take the underbust strap that has the label on it. Take that end with the plush side facing you through the right side. So when you're wearing it, it'd be the right side, but when you're looking at it, it's the left side of the vertical strap. Again, this is a longer strap, so really make sure that you're not twisting it as you're looping it through. Go ahead and loop it through the slider like you did before. And so this is where you have to make sure that the woven label is facing outside, meaning it's kind of like parallel to the satin strap that's facing you. Go ahead and loop the other underbust strap right next to it. So pretty much the same thing as what the choker strap looks like. Two underbust straps are going to be connected to the base of the vertical strap, like that. And now without twisting, you're going to make sure that the straps are nice and flat and that there's no twisting here, because if you twist it here, you're going to know after you sew on the snap closure. Take the other snap closure, attach the ends to here. Same thing as the choker strap. About an inch seam allowance at the edge, tuck that under and pin. Same thing as the other side. If you need to pause this video at any time, go ahead, because you can definitely sew at your own pace. Best way to learn, guys. Alright, so if everything was done right, you should have two nice flat seams ready to get attached to these snap closures, like so. Everything should be nice and even and flat, and all the satin sides of the elastic should be matching on the outside. All your sliders should be nice and secure. No twisting, I hope. If there is, definitely unpin and check all your straps before you start sewing. Alright, so if you're ready to go, let's sew on the closures. You can start on either one. Again, center it under the presser foot, remove the pin, and 2 rounds of straight stitches back and forth. Repeat that on the other side. So without even cutting, you can actually go ahead and pull some thread to make some room. And then let's sew the vertical strap. Again, remove the pin, lower your needle, 2 rounds of stitching, lift. Again, give yourself about 6 inches or so of extra thread tails. And go ahead and sew the underbust straps to the closure. And again, you can trim the threads as you go. For me, I'm just used to kind of speed sewing because I used to make like 10 of these at a time just to kind of save time. And that was back when I was doing this all by myself. And later on I could actually do a video on kind of showing you on how to sew bulk amounts of these, because it's kind of an easy way to make a bunch at the same time. So let's go ahead and trim all the threads. I like to kind of pull all the threads together and then hold the scissors kind of nice and tight against the elastic. And then that way you have minimal like excess thread just kind of hanging out on the item. Just looks cleaner. And just like a nice clean snip. Let's go ahead and do that to all the different straps that you just sewed. Okay, so once you're done snipping all the loose threads, it should look like this. Everything's nice and neat. All the seams are nice and even. All the straps aren't twisted. So everything should look nice and finished. So again, if you had any issues, definitely pause the video, rewind, rewatch, because it's actually a pretty simple harness to finish. Like that. And that's it. So usually it takes, it's actually like a less than a half an hour kind of sewing project, so you can actually make these pretty quick. You can actually use plush elastic, you can use fold over elastic, knitted elastic, braided elastic, any kind of elastic that you want. Pretty much follow the same steps. Just make sure that your sliders are the same size as your elastic width, and your rings are large enough to kind of handle the width of multiple straps of whatever you're using. And then these closures are easy to find. I can definitely add them on my site for little bulk lots to purchase. So you can definitely make your own. So this is definitely the easiest, I think, like simplest design that you can work on. I can definitely teach you how to kind of double up and do like another choker strap up here. So once I'm kind of done doing the main cage bras and harnesses for all the Reap What You Sew kits, I'm going to start showing you kind of little add-ons, like ways you can kind of manipulate the cage bras and harnesses that I have. And I'm actually going to start showing you how to take a bra that you already have and change the straps out for those. And that way, like I used to make strap-on harnesses, which kind of sounds dirty, but I promise you it's very cute, and you can change up a lot of the bras that you already have. because a lot of the bras just have plain straps, which is fine, but we can make them look super cute with additional cage bra straps. So yeah, that is the Jane harness. I hope you guys had fun working on that. It's pretty easy to make. I will definitely be showing you more videos with other cage bra and harness styles, so definitely let me know if you have any questions below in the comments, and I'm excited to show you guys some more tutorials. Alright, thanks for watching.